Welcome back, team. Jack Hemmings here. Sat with my business partner, Jacob Holt, here with the owners of Southend CrossFit. I think we're up to around episode 6 or 7 or 8, something like that. We're very lucky to be joined by a good friend over here, Isaac Heeney. I know you got a very busy schedule, mate. Lots of things on. Dog walks and stuff like that. Bit of beach time.
He plays the sport, apparently, but I'm not too sure.
He's an athlete. No, we appreciate your time, mate. Thanks for coming in. Did you want to introduce yourself, or do you want me to go through your accolades for you?
We haven't got all day.
Exactly.
All the measurements, mate.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're very lucky to have him on. For those that don't know, kind of like Jacob, much about the AFL, which is a sport here in Australia. Isaac is one of probably the best of the last year, I would say, even though the official records don't say it. But
you're a bit biased, aren't you?
Maybe, yeah.
That's why he's a good mate.
Yeah. He was stitched up a bit, but yeah, one of the top players in the league at the moment. So we're very lucky to have him. I thought we'd just start by, if you want to do your version of your introduction of yourself, mate. Maybe a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Obviously, Sydney Swans player. I've been there for 10 years, going into year 11 now, and 28, but feel like still a young fella, but with all the young fellas coming through, we've got a pretty young squad, so a fairly old fella at the moment. Grew up in Newcastle on a little hobby farm. Got a brother and mum and dad, and spent a lot of time with them, and love sport, played anything and everything growing up, and was a big NRL fan growing up, and then somehow in Newcastle, being NRL territory, got poached to the Sydney Swans academy, and then from there it kind of just flowed on, and loved it ever since, and so glad I chose AFL to give a crack, and it's been a fun 10 years.
What age did you get picked up from the start?
So the Swans Academy starts at 12, but that's obviously not a professional program. It's more just a little pathway to I guess train with the best of your age, and then grow and learn your skills. And back then I think there was not even 10 of us in the Sydney Swans Academy in the Newcastle region, like the Hunter region. Sydney had maybe close to 100, and then we'd go down to Sydney. Mum and Dad had sacrificed a lot. They drove us to Sydney once or twice a week at the age of 12 up until 18.
2.5 hours or so, right?
2.5 hours, each way. And we'd take half a day off school, I'd take half a day off work. And then, from there it was sort of played a bit of everything still to the age of about 15. And then they were like, you kind of need to choose a sport. What do you want to do? Whether I still probably enjoyed NRL more than AFL. And in the end, because of the Sydney Swans Academy, I sort of made a decision to go with AFL, and then when I was 17, just going into year 12, I moved down to Sydney and jumped in with a host family and played a bit of Swans reserves, and from there it was sort of all uphill. And is that the right word? I don't even know. Is that the right phrase?
I never know.
You know what I mean?
I never know. Yeah, but we got you.
And then age 18, I got picked up and played, lucky enough to play round 1, and I played 201 games now, so it's been a fun 10 years.
Could you have gone a different route then? Do you feel like you had the talent and drive to go NRL potentially as well?
I did love it. I think I'd have to.
I know it's hard to say, but
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say because I was so young. But don't know. I'd love to. I probably don't know whether to put this on here. I'd love to do a code swap at some point and see whether I could actually play it. I don't think
because physically, are you suited to AFL more than NRL?
Yeah, definitely. They're obviously a lot they're more power, less endurance. Where AFL's obviously a lot more endurance based.
I guess if you stuck to that though, you would have. Obviously, your training and everything goes towards
because you
got right.
You got a big head on you.
Yeah,
that's the first time when I met you, I was like, his head's
it's good. It gets hit all the time too. Yeah, especially my nose. I've broken it like 6 times. So put my head in the right spot or the wrong spot.
So was it an active decision to choose a favourite, or was it more like getting advice from family and the coaches and that to actually switch over or to commit fully to AFL?
It was probably more seeing the pathway of the Sydney Swans Academy and having that, I guess, laid out in front of me, going, there is an opportunity right there. Whereas NRL was so back then it was like everyone was playing it, and there was a lot of guns, and I probably wasn't giving it enough time.
Yeah.
So I had to choose one, and I think the Swans Academy arguably got me over the line.
Yeah.
Plus, mum and dad were a bit. Dad had played a lot of league and union growing up, and they were kind of a bit off the way the head knocks and the way players are treated and whatnot. Like it's a pretty grueling sport.
For sure, yeah.
AFL is obviously pretty similar, but better on the head. So they kind of push us towards that. And one of my best mates, cousins, was Charlie Dixon, who played for Gold Coast at the time, and he was a gun there, and it kind of just flowed in and just worked perfectly.
With your parents obviously taking you there, like 2.5 hour drives there and back, did you ever have that conversation with your dad or your mum saying, look, we're sacrificing this, we just want you to make sure you're putting 100% in, or was it just like natural that you would be doing that anyway?
Yeah, I've always been someone that if I'm going to do something, I'd like to do it properly, and I'll give it a crack. And they've been the biggest support of my life, sort of thing. And whether it be schooling, whether it be footy, whether it be these companies that I'm doing, they're awesome, and they're always checking in with me. So it wasn't hard for me to say if they're going to do it, I'm having a fucking red hot crack here. So that was something that never really I had to question, sort of thing. It was if they're putting the effort in, I would put the effort into and make them proud. Yeah. And that's part of it. It
was like unspoken between you, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
could see that they were like sacrificing the time, but then they could see you were sacrificing, like you're putting the effort in and
definitely
giving you all and stuff.
And that's probably that would be the main reason why I think I play footy, and I love doing it, and it's probably like it is definitely I guess for the Heeney name and for my family, and to do them proud. And
a legacy, man.
A bit of a legacy,
it's a nice motivation.
Yeah.
You are only young on paper, but you've had a long career already, 10 years or so in playing professional footy. So a lot of people probably see you now as this dominant player, but you're 10 years in now. So what sort of commitments did you have to make and sort of sacrifices earlier on, like you said, the traveling with your parents and that sort of thing? Was there anything else that you were saying no to in those earlier years when you were in that development phase when it potentially wasn't going to happen? Yeah,
I was pretty set on doing something, and I just wanted to. Everything I did, it was. I think it's the way my mum and dad raised me. It was like I wasn't out partying, I wasn't out doing anything I shouldn't have been doing, sort of thing, and didn't have my first beer till I was 18 and a half.
Yeah, right.
And I spent some time with you on the beers, and I probably made up for it. But early days, I kind of locked in, and
you were saying no to haircuts back then.
Based off
the photos.
I had dreadlocks coming out the side. It was big, it was big, bushy. It was pretty gross, actually. I was an ugly kid growing up.
So did you know you wanted to be a professional athlete from young?
Oh yeah, well, I wanted to be a vet growing up, and then, but also, an athlete, and it was from a young age, definitely.
Yeah,
yep.
Saying no to a lot of things.
Did you have like just a natural knack for it? Because you know where some people, like athletes coming through and they make it professionally, they either like have a blend of like work ethic and then talent, or some people have more talent, more work ethic or something. Where were you, do you think, with that?
More on the work ethic for sure. Like I look at it now, and my brother he was a better footballer than me. He was definitely a better footballer, and for him it was he did want it early days, and then the closer it got to, I guess, reality of being a professional athlete, he kind of took a step back, and he'd always beat me in everything, but I'd beat him in fitness. So he was stronger, he was better kick, he was quicker.
Wow.
But I was always fitter, because I'd mow a 3 kilometre track, because we always had the 3 kilometre time trial. 3 kilometre track around our little property back home, and my brother and I did that. We mowed it together, and then in the end it was me running it twice a week.
So that was extras. That was just like yourself going, I'm gonna add this in.
Yeah, I'd get home from school, and before training or after training, I'd come home, and I'd just do a 3 kilometre time trial and try and hit a certain time and try and better myself.
Man.
And
whereas that's pretty it's pretty unique as far as I know from a kid of that age, I think. What are you thinking that's making you do that? Are you thinking, I want to be the best at this, or you want to be better than your brother? Or
beat your brother?
There's always definitely beat my brother. But if he got hold of me, he'd always flog me. So I'd always just I need to escape him somehow. But no, that probably started from school. Like I just want everything I did, I wanted to be the best, and it was just we do cross country, and I'm like, I'm mowing this for that, and
Yeah.
for footy, it's got to help with that. I'm going to be the number one time trial at our club and whatnot, and then the Swans Academy, I'll do that, and I'll be the best there. So that's kind of where it flowed from.
Yeah.
But I was the one doing it. My brother, he wouldn't necessarily dive in and do it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess I just wanted it. I was pretty hungry for it at a young age.
Was there any other extras you were doing as well as that? Like, because how old were you when you were doing that? Like, just doing the extra?
Would have been,
runs?
probably 12 or 13, I reckon. 12, 13, yeah.
So have you kind of continued that you doing extras now, like before or after training, or?
Yeah, that's something. I got a couple of good mates at the club that, especially in the off season, it's during season during pre-season it's pretty full on and grueling, and you can definitely do extras, but generally it's out in the track, and because you're doing such heavy loads, fitness wise, it's probably more stripping it back and going more the specifics. So we'll do a lot of skills, a lot of extra skills and touch, and so touch is a big one for us. It's like, you don't want to fumble. You can fumble and it's not a free kick or anything. It's you can keep playing on, but the cleaner you are, the more efficient and effective your team is, and you are. And so they're kind of the extras you do there. And whereas in the off season, like Robbie Fox, he's the fittest bloke at the Swans. He's always a good one to run with and work with. And we and Taylor Adams now at the club, but we seem to put ourselves in a bit of a hole purely because we fight against each other pretty hard, and we're just competitive. Yeah. So we do a lot of that stuff, and then I think a good for me of late, probably I'd say the last 2-3 years is just balance. It's like I'll do my program, but then I'll go out and, like, as a form of fitness, I'll go for a surf, or I'll go and do something else. That's I'm always outdoors, I'm always doing something, but that's my balance release, but also healthy. Yeah, right. Because do you feel like you've done so many years, I guess you've already got it under. Yeah, you've got it in you, right? Already, you've done sort of the hard yards kind of thing. And absolutely, now it's just like keeping motivation there and keeping you healthy, I guess. 100%. Yeah, I think there's definitely a form of that, and it's kind of maintaining, but also improving. But I think, as you guys know, the older you get, the more mentally sharp you kind of need to be. Yeah, to keep up with the young fellas and whatnot. So I guess working on that point is big too. Yeah, that's probably where it's gone more for me of late. Yeah, right.
So do you think it's just a accumulation of all that consistency over the time? And it's obviously driven by a fair bit of competitiveness as well. Even though I wouldn't say you, for the most part, you don't really come off as super competitive. Like, you're definitely very well known, like in personal scenarios or in the professional scene, as like this friendly, happy guy. You don't see like this killer instinct so much.
I asked you that, didn't I? I was like, is Isaac a killer? Because I feel like anyone who plays at that level in any sport is usually got a bit of fucking cunt in them, you know what I mean? But every time I see you, like the nicest guy in the world.
You definitely have that with your physicality on the field, but you still have this level of like modestness, I think, about it. But obviously there's this thing that's driven you from when you were 10 or 12 to now, that's like you always want to be that edge ahead, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, definitely. It's
is the smile fake?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm here to enjoy life. No, not at all.
Oh, you're a psychopath.
But anything I do, I'm competitive, and it's it is. I don't become a sore loser, but I definitely can soak it up a little bit at times when I'm
Do you ever have like a chip on your shoulder about anything? Do you ever feel like people like written you off, or?
I don't know. I probably used to at times, but. We especially this year, we worked with a lady called Emma Murray. I don't know if you've heard of her. It'd be worth giving her a Google and listening to a podcast and whatnot. So she worked with she's working with F1 drivers at the moment. Piastris? What's his name? Oscar. Fuck, I probably know that.
He's a driver.
Yeah, he's a driver. Right. So he's working. She's working with him. She worked with Richmond through their dynasty, so they won 3 out of 4 premierships over a 4-year span, and then went to Collingwood. Worked with them last year when they won the premiership. Worked with us this year. We obviously got to the granny and were the best side all year, and kind of didn't get it done in the granny. Anyway, so she's been amazing for the mental side of things of us players, and I guess. there's a little bit of that chip on your shoulder. It's like dwelling on things is never it's never positive. You got to get on with life and move forward.
Yeah.
And then also, I guess that flows on to if things don't go your way or you're not happy with certain things, it's not connecting you to your self-worth.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of players can. I think that's a big thing, that because you dedicate so much time to it, and then if you don't get the result you want,
Of course.
it's not connected to your self-worth.
Can you think of like that first game you played for Swans? Like, how were you like mentally? Like, you were 18 coming out, and you're playing with all these like older guys, I guess, as well, and that's like your biggest game of your life. It's a step. Like, mentally, were you just like, I'm just going to get out and just fucking flog all these cunts? Or were you just like, you know what I mean? Like, because you're a young kid then, like, compared to yourself now.
Do you envy that mindset a little bit, like that first?
Yeah, a
first
bit
few
naive,
games?
I guess,
Yeah.
maybe. Or I don't know.
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that was before. I guess you go through stages where you like. I'm a big overthinker. Whereas then it was like you just, like I said, young, naive, and just you go out there to have fun and fucking have a crack. And that's all it was. It was you make a mistake, who cares? You get on with it, and you work harder and get it done.
Yeah.
And that was like, we had a mature group, and they were very much, and the feedback these days as well is completely changed. Like, if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, they'll fucking whack between the eyes. You move on from it. It's not personal. It is what it is. Now these days you can't do that. People go into their shells and whatnot. So I kind of envy what it used to be like, because I love that. If someone's doing something wrong, especially effort based, fucking whack them between the eyes. They get it done. They fix it, and then we get on. It's not personal. Whereas these days it's completely different.
Really?
As you guys are,
Like, you feel like you have to be careful with.
you got to
that
word
sort of
things
thing.
completely differently.
Yeah.
Really.
You got to look at. You got to more nurture rather than I don't know what the opposite is, but
You mean like the young guys coming through?
yeah, you got to be. You got to. The way you give the feedback has got to be in a positive light and a way forward rather than don't do that. And then does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Like the old school mentality of fucking have a crack or don't be here sort of thing. And then it makes you just get it done.
Yeah.
Whereas now you say that and then boys go into their shell and they start seeking
Have you,
where we can.
talking like old school and stuff, I was wondering like how professional is AFL, like compared to maybe some other sports? Because I was asking that on my way here a little bit, like when you start playing when you're 18, how professional is it from then to like now, or how professional are you, I guess, as well?
I think I'm lucky to come into a club that's been that. It's got the Bloods culture, and it's something that's as arguably as good as it gets in Australia, sort of thing. So us and Melbourne Storm, Geelong Cats, Penrith Panthers now, like you kind of got that culture of, I guess, the elite. And we've been lucky enough that our coach just retired yesterday, and he's been there for 14 seasons, and he's made finals 12 seasons, and every
it's big news.
It's big news. Every just under 3 years he's made a grand final over his 14-year span. So that's pretty impressive, and that's, I guess, the culture. And
Is that normal?
No,
Coaches to be around for that long? In the sport?
No, he's the longest serving at the Swans ever, over 150 years. And to have a record like that's pretty impressive as well.
For sure.
But no, the professionalism from then to now, I feel like it's definitely held. It's definitely, I don't think it's, might have increased a little bit, but probably the facilities and what's around these days compared to what we used to have is completely different.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what changes in terms of like your systems and that when in these more recent years, like recovery, and is everything like set out for you to do during the season and the off season, or is there a bit of like looseness to it? How much structure is there for you?
Off season wise, or the whole year? So I'll start pre-season. Pre-season, we're in sort of 5 to 6 days a week.
And that's pretty much now, right? Like from next week.
Yeah, the young fellas start this week, and us older fellas we sort of
28.
Every
time you say it.
I guess
is that old? Like, what is old for AFL? Like, when do people like retire normally? Like, because in soccer, like you get to like 32, 33. Similar.
Yeah.
Are you young for how many games you played?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'd be up there with, out of my age group that got drafted, I'd be up there with most games. Yeah, I think it might be a couple above me. Just a few games above me, sort of thing. But that's averaging 20 a game. 20 a year, sorry.
Yeah, gotcha.
and I've had big injuries. But I've been lucky enough that I've missed a bit of game time throughout the years to injuries. But being in a club that's so successful, I've played nearly a season worth of finals, which some players just have never played a final.
So it's those extra games. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, which helps that up.
Yeah. So coming into pre-season, is that all laid out for you now? Like you're going to go to the club starting next week, and then it's just game on until next September, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So we'll go in for it's kind of like it's a pre-season. So we'll go in for 2.5 weeks, and it's kind of a check-in. But at the same time, they say check-in, and they just absolutely fucking flog you from the get-go.
Does anyone? Do you have any teammates turn up just out of shape?
Yeah. you always get one or two that they got that little they call it puppy fat. They think it is anyway. But
have you made that mistake ever?
I've been lucky. I've always come in, and it's always been my sort of go-to is like I generally keep pretty fit because I'm so outdoorsy in the off season.
Yeah, do you have any like benchmark workouts for yourself where you're just like, I don't know, you might do it before you go into pre-season, you go, oh yeah, I'm actually in pretty good nick, whether that's like a run or
so we still, so even in off season, so pre-season we will be in 5 to 6 days a week, and it's at the club, and you'll do 3 days a week. You'll do big sessions. So on Monday the young fellas did 10 to 11k, and that's a lot of ball skills and a bit of conditioning, but that's harder than just running. And then today's Wednesday. Yeah, so today they've got they'll have like 5 to 6 but higher intensity, and then Friday will be another 11 to 12k, and then next week will be higher again. The week after that'll be higher again.
Right. So then just ramping back up. It's very strategic, like the amount of kilometres. Is that the main goal, like the kilometres in the week?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you got to 100%. So Mondays will be kind of offensive based, so we'll do offensive drills. Wednesdays will be more competitive, which is the stuff that it'll be less kilometres, but higher intensity. Fridays will be more defensive stuff. Yeah. But the Monday, Friday will be higher, or longer runs, longer drills and whatnot. Yeah. And then Saturdays will be hill runs. Right. So that's a little top up. Generally, if you hit your Ks there, they might give you a bit of leeway on the Saturday.
Yeah. How many, for people that don't understand the context of all this running training, I know we're jumping around a little bit, what in a game, what sort of, and it seems to be fairly standard across most players now. Probably when you first started, there was players that didn't run so much, and there was runners in the team, right? But now it's getting a little bit more consistent. How many Ks are you running, or are there players that, like defenders, that are running a little bit more as well? What are you aiming for?
I'm normally hitting about 15
Ks in a game.
In a game, yeah. Right. But you kind of look at like 15k, and then you can look at like they've got so many different categories. Like we've got high speed, which is above, I think it's above 25k an hour, right. And that's kind of your intensity. Like you can cover 15k, and it's kind of fairly cruisy. You can cover 12k and be absolutely fucking blowing. Yeah. It's like, and then
12k of sprints.
Of sprints, exactly. So we normally look at mids per minute, high speed and sprint. Yeah. And change your direction. So that's more for your workload on your body, and then they can kind of take a gauge of that and put that into your next week worth of training, or you might have had a massive block, and for the next, say, 1 to 2 weeks, they can really decrease your load knowing that you've put the work in. Or
is that anything you've had to look at? Were you like, I don't know, just for example, like your average speed was down compared to other players similar to your position? Not saying it is, just as an example. Have you looked at anything like that and had to work on that over the years?
Yeah, like
definitely. For you particularly?
Yeah. So I'll go through, and sometimes you can sit in with the coaches and go over your vision and be like, you're not covering the ground. So for me, it's my high speed's generally pretty good. My sprint's decent, but there's boys that are a lot higher than me. But it's my high speed that is covered over. Say like I go on big long runs, which is generally how if I've got a tag, if I've got someone sort of following me, that's how I'll get them, rather than the short, sharp sort of stuff. It's me. It's like, okay, how am I covering the ground
to wear them out?
Yeah. And that's how I'll get out. So the coaches will look at that, but then I'll go into the strength and conditioning and the dietitian and be like, I just don't have the energy. I can't get through that. So then the strength and conditioning go, okay, we'll strip your load back, or they'll go, okay, we need to fucking get your body back into that state, and we'll do some specific running and take you out a couple of drills and put you in through this. And then you go to the dietitian to go, okay, I need a higher protein on these days and more carbs on these days. I've slipped away from this. I'm not feeling my body enough. And
so measured, isn't it, and goal based, and constantly assessed.
Constantly, yeah.
Something
there's no hiding.
Our members, obviously a different level and a different sport completely as well. But like just the sheer fact of like tracking your progress, assessing, and then going again the next week or month to actually know that you're improving, right? Is so important. Obviously,
one of our members last week, Connor, hit his first ring muscle up, and I messaged him saying, "Well done, mate. I looked like smooth as well." And he's like, "Yeah, it's taken me 3 years."
Yeah, exactly.
But he's got that, and he's so happy. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of these like training, you're just turning up and you're just going through emotions. So it's so cool to actually like have something when you like, oh no, I am actually achieved that.
Yeah, goal based and measured. Yeah, it's interesting. Is that much more detailed nowadays than 10 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of it then was like, if you play well, you play well.
Right.
If you don't, like you kind of. I never really checked in with the dietitian much in my first couple of years, and that was probably a bit more on me. And then the strength and conditioning was like, oh, are you hitting your distance? And it wasn't really looking into all this other stuff.
Are they worried about weight too much? Like, do they want you sitting in at a certain weight?
Yeah. So I normally, I've had a year where I was heavy, so I'm generally, like, cause I'm covering some distance. I obviously need to keep my strength, but you want to be light enough that you're covering the ground really well. So I generally sit about 88, 89. I had 2 years where I was 92, over 92, and those 3-4 kilos make a massive difference when you're trying to cover the ground.
So felt strong. Did you put that on purpose to try to give you a little bit more strength gain, or did it just sort of naturally kind of?
Nah, so I did. Remember I did my ankle. Yeah. And then I kind of, me being me, I was like, well, I can't run. I can't do my leg weights on my right leg. So I was like, fuck it. I'm hitting the gym. And I was legit had a bar. It was during COVID too. Yeah. So
order a new Guernsey coach. I'm gonna need a bigger one.
But I kind of came out, and I was I came out of the off season and into pre-season, and there's a few photos where I was like I was looking a bit like swollen, like my neck and everything. I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I felt like I was covering the ground well, and I felt good. But I was out. I'd been out for 9 months. So that was me feeling good. Was not where I was at, but it was just me feeling good because I'm running again.
And you had that data to measure against as well. So you've always got that there to come back to now. Yeah, it's so interesting, huh?
Strip it down. My strength didn't drop much at all.
Wow.
But those 3-4 kilos allowed me just to cover the ground well.
Do they have any strength tests which they do in pre-season and stuff just to like see where you're at, whether that's like bench squats and stuff like that?
Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if they actually had numbers for, I don't know, positions where they're like, you need to be hitting X amount of weight on here for a certain amount of reps. Or
it's a funny one because like AFL, so you can have a bloke that's 70 kilo and dominates the game, and then you can have a bloke that's 95 kilo playing the same position and not doing as well. So it's extremely different, a bit more specific personal base or person base or
it's not like your position needs to be hitting these benchmarks.
Ideally you want to be as strong and as fit as possible. And some
find
boys
that balance.
Absolutely. But we do test wise, we do T-bar, bench pull, and then we'll do this squat test where it's kind of pulling up through the ground, and you're pulling it. I don't know.
Oh, with the belt.
With the belt,
belt squats.
Yeah. And then we'll do those, and then we do Nordics. But what we do, we've got groin squeeze and Nordics.
Can you do a full Nordic?
We do. I can get down. I can't get up.
Yeah, mate. That's
can you
savage.
guys?
No, I can't.
No way. Not a chance.
And it's a couple of the boys could actually. You know, the ones where you obviously chest down, push out, push back, and
wow.
And then up and down. But it's funny. One of our boys has always had hammy problems, and he's got the strongest hammies. He's got twice as strong hammies as I do. Always tears his hammies.
Wow. That's
so it's more like his hips. I think his hips are slightly out. So he's done a lot of work, and he played pretty much a full season this year. and he's got drafted at my age.
Wow.
So he's my age, got drafted my year, and I played 200. He's played 75 games.
No way.
Yeah, purely for the fact I think he's done like 6-7 hammies.
Yeah.
The strongest hammies in the comp. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a strange one.
Yeah, super strange. Yeah.
But we do hammies and groin squeeze every morning. So like you might be domsy, you might be sore, and if you're dropping, they can obviously strip your program back. So they're the little tests that allow you to go into training, knowing that the physio's okay. He's good enough.
So it's just a test, a health test.
Just a health test every morning. Yep.
Yeah.
You come in and and then you do markers every morning as well. So how do you sleep? How you feeling? Fatigue levels. And
there's a lot of work in all this, right? Like on top of the training work, there's a lot of work in obviously you got people tracking it for you, but for you to have to like assess with the specific coach and check in all the time, there's a lot of extra work and stress, I imagine.
There is a little bit, but it's kind of all laid out for you. So it's all, and it just becomes a routine. Like you're kind of in there. There's a bit that we do throughout the day. Definitely, people think we just go and fucking rock up and train and kick footies. And there's a lot to it. But at the same time, it's pretty straightforward. And we've got some simpletons in the team that can get through it. So anyone can get through it.
Yeah, fair. Good.
That's so good. I was thinking, right, because like I feel like it's a lot of guys' dream to be a professional sportsman. Like I think a lot of us would do it if we probably could. Is there anything where you're like, I don't know, it surprised you about being like in the top of your sport for the last 10 years, where you're like, oh, I didn't realise it'd be that hard or challenging?
I think
because obviously we see all the cool bits, so your highlight reels and all that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I think. There's two things. Obviously, injuries. You kind of growing up, you know they're there, but it doesn't really hit you until obviously it happens. And then that can be tough because all you want to do is be out there on the track kicking a footy with the fellas and playing games. So the injuries are one, but also I think the way the media is going, to be honest, and how negative everything is, and it's.
Is it toxic?
Yeah, fucking oath it is. Like I think the media can be, they do anything for a headline.
Yeah. Is it borderline like lying a lot of the time?
Yeah.
Like or just like fishing for something that's not even there?
Absolutely, and they'll twist things to make it get more traction. Yeah. And it's just like, well, that was either a pointless article or you're just a cockhead. Sort of thing.
Exactly.
Have you had anything direct?
Occasionally it happens.
This season you had arguably your best season as a club and individually, right? Individually mainly as we're talking about. But even then, you probably still had, like, if you had just one bad game, and they probably had no idea you had a busted foot or whatever, which you did, I think, right? Yeah. They don't know any of that stuff. They just think, oh, Heeney's off today, like he's let his team down or something like that. Yeah,
and that's why they go. It's like, had a fair season, and it was the most enjoyable season I've had, and it was awesome. Came to the grand final. There's plenty to it, but 2 years ago we got beaten by. It was like 80, 90 points or something. We got smacked in the granny. Anyway, 2 years later, which was this year, we played again and they beat us by 60 in the granny, yet we were the best team all year sort of thing. Right. So, and then going through finals, I had a stressy and like a stress reaction going into finals, and then played another 2 games, and then in the semi, so played Port Adelaide leading into the grand final, and we played really well. So went into the granny with a lot of confidence, and then after that game, I was like, woke up and like I struggled through the back end of that game in terms of just covering the ground and running. I was limping there, and then woke up, and for the next 2-3 days, I could barely walk, sort of thing. And we had a couple of boys under injury cloud, under an injury cloud going into the granny. So we had to we kept mine quiet. Anyway, so I didn't do any training throughout the week. We got there in the granny and went into the granny feeling all right. I was like, all right, I'll get through it. Like, it's the grand final, you push through. And then about halfway through the first quarter, I got tackled and from behind as I kicked the ball and fell into it, and that hurt it again. So then I'm sort of battling, and then throughout the granny, it's a compliment, but it makes things tough. But I was getting tagged as well. So I had some bloke ride me the whole day and make sure I sort of didn't get the footy, and then try and beat me in contests and whatnot. So in the end, he actually did really well. So I had that, and I had a stress fracture, and then couldn't even run the game out. So last quarter, I didn't even play. And then after the game, it was like we lost by 60 points, and the media jumps on my back going, he's let the team down, he's failed in the granny, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, whatever, mate. Like,
Is
and they don't look at anything else other than the fact that I didn't perform to the level I've performed.
Yeah.
Or even though I had a tagger and my leg was fucked, sort of thing. So
is that sometimes hard? Like, obviously, you don't want to lose it. Obviously, grand final, you don't want to get pumped like that either. But does it get to a point where, I don't know, do you think there was some people maybe choking in that position? Because it is like a massive, massive game. And from your perspective, you obviously were coming in with an injury. But it's like where heads just like come down, and then it's sort of like the other team are just pumped up, and then all your team's heads start going down. And like, I just wonder, with your psychologist you're bringing into the club, wonder if that could help in those situations as well. Absolutely.
So we actually did a bit leading into it to touch on, because a lot of the boys that played in this granny played in the 2022 granny.
Yeah.
So we did touch on it. We touched on making sure that 2022 granny was out of our heads, and that there was no underlying thoughts there going into it. So we're actually we'll touch on it this week coming when we're all back in together. But
with her again?
With her again,
oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And we'll kind of address it and try and get some answers, because at the moment we don't really have any answers, because leading into it, we argued we couldn't have had a better lead up for a granny. The way we were playing, the boys were, majority were fit. Like we're looking real good. So why did it happen again, sort of thing. So it's definitely a mental thing. What it is, I'm not sure. How do we address it? What do we do? We'll figure that out. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, of course. What are you doing throughout the year on these, like when there is downs, like, or throughout your career, I should say, for when there's downs of injuries, and when there's feedback from the media, which has gotten probably worse and worse over the years, not personally, but the intensity of it. What are you doing mentally now compared to when you first started, maybe, like, to actually make sure that doesn't affect you, and like you're not reading comments and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky, media wise and comments wise. I feel like there's always been a really good support from our fans, from other fans. Like, it's always been pretty good. So I've been lucky on that side of things. Obviously the granny hit a bit different there, but that was a whole, like, why did it happen again, sort of thing. And I guess you learn to, and sort of saying before, your performance has nothing to do with your self-worth, and that's kind of what Emma was really good at addressing this year, and a lot of the boys do connect the two, and to push that away allows you to move on from things pretty quickly, and then when those tough times arise, I think it's just understanding that you need a balance. Like, you need a good balance. You don't go away and get caught up in the wrong stuff, because you can easily drift in that way. But for me, it's like, and our coach and leadership group, coach and captain was really good at going, you know what, if you surf throughout the week, fucking go and surf. Like, same with leading up to the granny. If you've got this escape, go and do it.
Right.
Even if it's like, you need to be, some people are like, you need to reserve every piece of energy. You need to do this, do that. It's like, mentally go out there and do this. You need that. Yeah. And that in itself helps you get over things. And generally it's only a day or two after it happens that you're in the dumps. And once you get onto a bit of a roll, I feel like you can snap out of things pretty quickly. But
and also there'd be something a bit wrong if you weren't fucking pissed off and down in the dumps after you lost. Yeah. You know, you need a bit of that, right?
Absolutely. I think, no, definitely, because it means you care, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Like, if you went back in and you just fucking lost, you just got pumped, and you go back in the changing room and everyone's just like having a chat, having a fucking, like, music's on, people having a dance or whatever, you know what I mean? Just messing around. Be like, what the fuck? Like, we just got fucking pumped. Everyone should be fucking...
It's pretty somber.
Yeah, it should be, right?
I agree. I totally agree. I think you just can't dwell for too long. Yeah. But you definitely, and if you don't, like, people don't care.
We're not going to let that happen again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best footy I've played as a team in my career was this year, and I think we're 12-1 middle of the year, and that was, a lot of that had to do with the fact that every day we went to the club, we were enjoying it. Like, we were loving life. We were enjoying spending time with each other and working hard together. We're even out there, like, when we're playing, everyone's like having a ball, but we're working hard for each other. So that was, if things go south, it is what it is. You address it, and we move on from it. And that's where Horse was good this year as well. We'd come in first day, boom, review in the morning, get that done, and then by the arvo, you're outside, you're having a kick. And generally, boys are anxious going into the morning. You address it, you go out for a kick, you get the body, the endorphins going, and then by that afternoon, everyone's happy, everyone's back on and going, you know what, fuck, we focus on this week now.
Yeah.
It was just a good way to move on, but also address it too. I'm a little bit like, if you keep fucking dwelling on things, I need to get away from the word dwell, but if you're not enjoying what you're doing,
you don't have to delete it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you do like mid-game to like, say you make a mistake, or are you just pretty good at, I'm assuming you're pretty good at just like moving on from a mistake and just like, I don't know, like making sure the next decision you make is a good one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than just thinking about that, and then then your performance starts just to like slowly go downhill.
100%. Yeah. I think that comes with I feel like it comes with age. Early days, you've been, like we were saying before, you're a bit naive and you just...
Because can the crowd get on you as well a bit? Or is it not too much like that?
Some boys they do, yeah, for sure.
So I know the crowd in England's fucking brutal.
Yeah, they're different over there. I think they're awesome with their chants and whatnot they go on.
The chants. Even when you're watching it on, like over here, we watch it on at Optus and stuff, you can still hear the chants through and they're commentating. They're so funny.
I went to Arsenal and Bournemouth.
Oh, mate, Arsenal's my team as well, yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So I'd never seen a game live, and but it was Arsenal was smacking Bournemouth. I think it was 2 or 3-0 just after half time, and then all the chants started going to was it to Tottenham? Is that their biggest rival?
Yeah.
And then just come, and then it had nothing to do with Bournemouth. It was always just in the Tottenham. Like, this is fucking epic. Yeah. This is gold.
So unnecessary. They're not even there.
It wasn't even there. It was just, but like they were obviously up and about, and it was so much fun. It's completely different. Like I think the professionalism's, like we strive to be like that in Australia. Like it's not to the level of America and the UK.
I guess it's money as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you were playing at the level you are and you were playing in the Premier League, you'd be earning £500,000 a week.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
It's insane amount of money,
isn't it?
Ridiculous.
It's more like we got 25 million people here, right? So there's like there's a level to it.
Yeah,
there must be all this plus how old that game is, that sport. Like AFL's professional AFL's relatively young, right, in terms of on TV and that sort of thing.
Yep, and it's only, I don't know how many countries there was. It's probably close to 20 countries that play it now, AFL, which is pretty cool. But I couldn't imagine to a high level, but it's just Australia, so it's just not.
You might get a Saudi contract, mate, when you're like 35. Earn that big dollar.
It is interesting though as well, hey, because we're obviously in New South Wales here. You would say the traditional sport is rugby league, but probably this year and last year, in terms of the fan base, it's arguably stronger than any other sporting team in New South Wales in terms of like how many fans go to the games and that sort of thing. Has become this huge event, right? And it's interesting for you. You're probably, I don't know of anyone else that's come from the area of like, you're obviously not in Sydney where you grew up, but you're 2.5 hours away. You're not from like country near the border. You're the only one that I know of that's come out of that sort of area to get to the same level, right? There's a couple other guys I think from around Sydney maybe, but you're probably the most successful to come from this like heartland of rugby league, right?
There's been a few now, but when I got drafted, definitely there was not that many. There was probably a handful that came from New South Wales, or maybe out of the whole competition of 650 players. There wasn't many. There wasn't too many playing from New South Wales, away from sort of the border of Victoria.
Yeah. It's a whole different world in Victoria, right? Like around Melbourne, like you can't really be a high level player like yourself and just you're more of a celebrity there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's
like you get a bit of hassle, well not hassle, like you get attention and stuff around Sydney, but if you were in Melbourne, it's gonna be
completely different. Yeah. It's new, like you said before, the growth in New South Wales has been incredible the last 5 years compared to what it came from. When I first started playing, I felt New South Wales just didn't really appreciate AFL.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whereas now it's, like you said, this year especially, we packed out the stadium every week, and it was the event to go to every second week whenever we were playing in Sydney. And that was pretty cool. They really jumped behind us, and the growth is from that. I mean, it helps we're successful, helps the Giants. We're successful. But the growth has been incredible. But as soon as you go to Victoria, South Australia, WA, Northern Territory, it's they don't know anything else.
It's their life, right?
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I just wanted to put in perspective how weird it is for you to come from where you've come from in this state of New South Wales.
Yeah, well, you can escape things here, which is good. It's getting, if you want to call it, worse and worse, which I like to call it worse and worse because I enjoy escaping it and having that release. But there's a lot more attention on AFL at the moment in New South Wales, whereas as soon as you go to Melbourne, like, I just wouldn't live in Melbourne.
Like, so if you, like, for example, like in the week, you just, go down Maroubra Beach and just hang out and have a coffee, would you be able to do that if you were, like, in Melbourne? Would you'd be getting, like,
you could, but there'd be constant,
Because when I see you down there, you're pretty chill, just having his coffee, chatting to a mate or whatever.
Yep.
You don't look like you're getting hassled too much or anything.
It's pretty good.
People say hello, obviously.
Love it. There's a couple of
I see a few of these, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But you seem like people are just leaving you alone, and which is nice.
Which is great, which is awesome. But like I said, go into the other states, and it's especially all the big names down there. You can't really do anything. Right. You got to be really go out hiding, sort of thing.
Yeah,
when you go out,
a hoodie on.
Like your brother would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but also your brother to a different scale.
Yeah. It's obviously a big year coming up. We're at the end of 2024, which was a really good season. Next year is going to be a huge year. What else are you working on? Obviously, you got your shirt on there, your doozy shirt. You've got to cut. As you're getting into your career, this later part of your career, I guess, or depending how long you're around for.
Hey, stop saying he's old.
He's not old. He's experienced. He's got another say experienced. Let's say 200 games, pretty impressive. What else are you working on in these later things? And what's the motivation behind that? Are you looking at life after footy, or is it just like what takes your interest, or?
Bit of both, yeah. I think this was more so a couple of the boys at the club started Doozy. It's like this is an alcohol company that started with seltzer, now dabbled into a bit of vodka. And it's doing really well, and
awesome.
So they started. 2 of them did with a few other fellas, and 6 months into it, like real early days, they asked if I wanted to jump on board, and I was like, it sounds pretty cool. These fellas are ripping fellas too. So I was like, yeah, why not? Jumped on board, and now I think probably 2.5, maybe 3 years into it now, and it's going really well. We're in over 1,000 stores. We signed with Endeavour, who own Woolies, and now we're in all Dan Murphy's and BWS over Australia, and
you're joking, I didn't know
which
that.
Is good fun. Yeah. Anyone want to go to?
The only ones
who've
ever had
a couple with this.
I don't know where to buy them.
Yeah.
No, they're in a few stores these days, which is good. So it's
you can actually buy them. What's the process like that? How were you involved with that? Were you more just like a bit of funding and a bit of marketing? Or?
Yeah, I'm more along that side of kind of pushing it and getting involved in that way, not necessarily the brains behind it all. Neither are the other two fellas. No, so they're good.
It's more fun than not, or
it's more definitely. For me, it's it's a full company up and running, so everything's covered. So Will, Ollie and I used to, early days, especially like those two they'd go door knocking, so they'd have their cans and they'd go to any independent bottle-o or pub or whatnot and just go and knock on the door and say, can you try this, and if you like it, I'd like to put it in the stores and or in that venue, and that was early days, whereas now we've got people out there in New South Wales and Victoria especially kind of pushing it through Sydney and Melbourne. And now we're kind of the face of it and push it and do some shoots here and there and jump in a couple of meetings and just get an understanding of what's next.
That's cool, mate. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you've got your which you're heading to after this. Obviously, you pushed back the time for us. I really appreciate it. You're heading to your, which is it's a coaching company essentially. Yeah,
it's a footy camp. Yeah, so it's more kind of participation, enjoyment. And Toby Green and I started up. It's a footy camp where we'll do it in the school holidays and generally over 2 or 3 days and 4 hours on each day. And we'll have up to 200 kids come in, and it's tiring.
I bet
With 200 kids running around because they age from, it was normally 6 to 16, but you have brothers or sisters that might be 5 or 17 that want to get involved as well, and we sort of allow that. So we've had a big gap there, and you got 5-year-olds that can't necessarily kick a footy, but are there just to have a bit of fun and laugh and meet some players that they see on TV, and then you got 17-year-olds that want to learn some new skills. So we'll work through that again today and continue to improve the company, but we've had some really good feedback, and we went down to, so we normally do within Sydney, and then in the off season, so during the season, because Toby's at the Giants and I'm at the Swans, we've got 2 different schedules. So to get 2 days that line up next to each other, for pretty much we need the full day off each, is tough. So then,
is that funneling players through, or is that more just giving back a bit to the community?
It's a bit giving back to the community. Nice little bit of cash in the pocket too, which helps. But it's more giving back to the community and growing the game. Me being a New South Wales sort of born player, and then Toby being a Victorian that grew up with a lot of camps in Victoria. It's like the James Hird camp, and he loved it growing up, and he's now the captain at the Giants. And when he got here, he was like, there's nothing like it up here. People don't have the opportunity to learn AFL or improve their skills. So
that's cool.
That's how it came to fruition, sort of thing. And from there, we're about, what are we now? We'd be probably a year and a half into it, and we've had a heap of camps, and we then in our off season we go down to places like Wagga and Albury, and we ran sort of 3 days down there, and just to give back to the community, and it was awesome. So hopefully head up my neck of the woods soon and go to Newcastle, and
that's cool, mate.
Get back to which would be nice.
Good on you. Very cool. So
good, mate.
Anything else you wanted to cover today? What should we look out for this season, mate?
Hopefully we can match.
Working on some new skills.
I think just consistency.
Is there anything special you're working on? Like, like this is lacking on me, so this is what I need to keep up. Like, is it your left handball, or is it like? Is there anything that's like your number one weakness, you think? Yeah. So there's. I was, as you know, first 9 years I played as a forward. The last year I played in the midfield. Played in midfield, and it was arguably my best year. So hopefully I'll be in the midfield again next year. And it's just a matter of continuing to learn. How does your game change from that? I grew up as a midfielder. I sort of felt I always was a midfielder, but we've had a gun midfield, and I guess the position that Horse needed me in at the time was as a forward, and I was kicking goals, and was doing all right as a forward. So I kind of put myself in that position and got stuck there, if you want to say. And then we had a couple of injuries in the last year, and the start of this year leading into the season, and he goes, mate, jump in the midfield, train, and from there I kind of had a really good pre-season in the guts and started really well. And then the injuries, our captain was injured for the first half of the year, and one of the other boys got suspended for 6 weeks, so he was out for a fair chunk as well. So I kind of had to take the experience, we'll call it experience, the old fella in the guts, and kind of take a bit of control of the midfield there, and it kind of flowed nicely. That's where we'll see you this year. Ideally, I think so. Nice. Yeah, and I'll continue to work on the craft of that. So a lot of that's like, it's completely different. Like you're around the footy, and it's a lot more contact and shorter, sharper, change of direction. Whereas as a forward, it's a bit more, still a lot of contact, but you're working up and down the ground a lot longer runs. And you're not around the footy as much. So has that brought a bit more like enthusiasm? Not like, you love the game obviously, but a little bit more like, I haven't played this for a bit. A bit more of, I don't know, that like newbie feeling a little bit. 100%. That's absolutely it did. And I loved it. Loved the opportunity to get in there, and that's what I grew up with my whole childhood. Up until I got drafted, I was a midfielder. I didn't play as a forward or a defender. Not that I've ever played a defender. But jumping in there, it was a bit of a little freshen up, which was awesome. Definitely. It puts you in that leadership position as well. Like, if for anyone that watches you and notice, you can definitely see you start to direct traffic and that sort of thing as well. Yep, absolutely. As a senior player. A bit of a senior, senior player definitely. And you kind of, you're just around the footy more. You get more opportunity, but there's also more responsibility on you as well. So it's good. Sounds alright. I might have to start watching this game maybe. Mate, you never been to a game?
I've been to one. I
Have
came
you?
with you.
Oh, did you?
Did I come with you once?
I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah, I came with you once. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
actually.
you and Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to
Man,
come
good.
to a game this year. Yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It's good
now.
fun.
Yeah.
If you can even get in, right?
Yeah, well, the tickets
Yeah,
they sell
busy.
out pretty quick, especially big games. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're out.
They're gonna have to add another.
You got some
grandstand.
contacts at me.
Got a couple of contacts.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
true,
Yeah.
true. Get one going.
Well, I think that's probably we
Sounds
really
good,
appreciate it, mate. We'll get you in the gym soon for your pre-season. That'll definitely help
Sounds
you out.
good.
Um,
I've done some CrossFit
Yeah.
training actually, and it fucks me.
yeah.
He's not used to doing certain things.
Yeah.
And I remember doing it with you a couple of
Yeah.
times, and then with another mate, and I couldn't walk for a week, and I was like, especially my groins and hammies, and I was like, I'm fucking
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
Although when I jumped in one of your running sessions, I think last pre-season,
Yeah.
and a couple of the boys from the gym who are fit, good runners, and it's just like it's a different thing. It's like there's a different animal running next to you. It's
It's
weird.
like you're doing a different sort of
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
No, it's completely different.
Because
Yeah.
we train all the time, but we kind of forget that we're just like
Normal.
average, normal dudes,
Yeah.
and you've got people who are getting paid a lot of money to be a professional athlete.
But
At
yeah.
this thing.
But then you get in the gym, and you
Yeah.
guys fucking put me to the sword.
We'll
so
get you back in, mate, to humble you again.
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
pre-season.
Oh, if we ever train together, mate, I will be trying my best to pick a workout I have the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
Or we're loose movements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds
All
good,
right.
mate.
Thanks very much,
Beautiful.
Ian. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.